channel, Be Debt Free with me, where I'm just a girl trying to help you and me become financially free. Today, we're going to talk about what this whole channel is about, debt. And debt is a thief, okay? Debt takes things from you. It takes your vacations. It takes your future. It steals money you could have been using how you wanted. And it sits on your chest like a weight. So I'm going to talk about how to get rid of your debt. So today, I want to teach you how to pay off your debt in a specific order. In FPU, we learn to use the Snowball method. What the Snowball method is that you take all of your debts, you find them wherever you've been hiding them, wherever you've been avoiding them, all the paper bills or the e-bills that they've been sending you, and you put them all in one place. Then you list them from smallest to largest. Yes, you heard that right, from smallest to largest, not by interest, not by which one is hounding you the most, from smallest to largest, okay? When you do that, you take the smallest debt, and if it's not in collections, you start paying that minimum payment. Now remember, when you do your budget, you go all the way down the list till you get to zero. If you paid all of your monthly expenses and you still have money left over, you put as many debts as you can in your budget until your money runs out to zero. So if you can only put 3 and all of their minimum payments are $40 and you only have $160 left at the end of the month, pay those 3 bills, okay? So you pay your $40 a month to your first bill, and you'd pay that and put any extra money you can make from side hustles, from a business that you may own, from any extra money that you get. And on top of that $40 minimum payment, you throw that extra money at that smallest debt. And when that smallest debt is done, you take that $40 minimum and all that extra money you might be throwing on it, and you add it to the debt right below it. Right? So now not only are you paying that second debt's minimum, you're taking the minimum from your first debt and you're adding it to the second debt's minimum and any extra cash. So can you imagine how quickly that second debt will go by? Because now you're not just making the minimum payment, you're making the minimum plus the minimum from the first and any extra side hustle cash that you may have. And then you do it again. Once you've paid off the second debt, you put all of that money to the third debt. And you just keep going all the way down. It sounds mathematically, for those who are big on what makes mathematical sense, but the thing I like about how we learn to do it is because it's more behavioral. And you all know that behavior is half of the battle. If we create good habits, then we can get through things. When we have small victories, it motivates us to keep moving forward. When you start paying off those small debts and actually seeing those debts disappear, it keeps you motivated. Can you imagine starting with your $90,000 student loan and then not worrying about the other smaller payments? You would give up because it would feel like it's never ending. But by the time you get down to your biggest loan, you're throwing a whole rack of money on that debt. And y'all know, the way to beat student loans is to pay more than they ask. It sucks. It makes you wish you'd known how vicious student loan providers were before you signed the papers. But what's done is done. You've got the student loan debt now, you got the education, you promised to pay it back, so this is the way you gotta go. So I had to go get my iPad, but my husband and I had 78 debts. That's collections, that's credit cards. Guys, I just paid off my wedding dress. We've been married 8 years last year, okay? When I tell you we were ostriches, we buried our heads in the sand. We did not think about any debt, and we put everybody on the block list. But what we did was we started with our smallest debt, which was $30, okay? I don't know why we were avoiding a $30 bill, but sometimes when you get to a point where you're just like, I want to live my life, which was basically our theme for life, for a long time, we ignored the things that mattered the most, which was clearing up our debt so we could build wealth later on. And what we did was, when we did our budget, like I was telling you before, we put as many debts as we could fit into our budget. And because the first like 10 or so were small, we were able to pay several of them off. A lot of them had gone to collections. And a little side note about collections, you can negotiate with them. You don't have to pay everything that you owe them. Because they buy their debts for pennies on the dollar, most times they'll take something much lower. For example, we had a medical bill that was $250, and when we talked with the lady, we expressed to her that we were on our financial journey. Yes, we told all of our debt collectors we were on a financial journey. We were doing it from smallest to largest, and they happened to fit in the budget this month, but all we had was $125. After a little deliberating, a little back and forth, me telling them, look, I want to pay you today and clear it up. If you can give it to me in writing that you'll accept my $125 as payment in full, I could pay you today. Now, debt collectors like to know, like to try to pay you, like to get their payments ASAP, okay? Because she'd been calling me and I'd been avoiding her. And after 10 minutes of going back and forth, she finally agreed to the $125. So I paid half of what I owed them, and they cleared my debt. We did that for some other debts too, some larger ones as well. We had a Verizon wireless bill. It was $1,300, and it was old. Now the older debts, they tend to negotiate a little better because it's been so old, they just want something from you. After we actually called them a couple times, and the numbers they were giving us, we were like, look, our budget runs out at this amount. This is what we have. We could pay you if you'll accept what we have as payment in full. Guys, that $1,300 bill, we got it knocked down to $500. So that was an $800 savings. Guys, don't let these collectors push you around. Okay, anyways, I got a little off track. But when you pay the small debts, it helps you move forward. It helps you feel like you're winning, because you are winning. You're getting rid of debt that used to bog you down. We started in 2019 with about $395,000 in debt, and now to this day we owe $352. And that's with us not hustling as hard as we should. That's with us just putting the money in our budget. Guys, we did some major things, like we gave up our stimulus check to pay off debt. We gave up our tax return to pay off debt. It's a lot. We've made a lot of sacrifices. Even this second stimulus that we received, and y'all know we got mad kids, so we got a good stimulus. We're putting it to debt. Now, out of those 78 debts, we only have 10 left. Okay. Now, and they're just student loans. Guys, I never thought we'd get any of the other. We paid off 68 debtors with negotiating, with putting all of our extra money towards our debt, not really living how we'd like to. So just to recap, Snowball method is taking your debt from the smallest to the largest, okay? And you're only doing it that way because you need wins. You need to have victories, okay? You need to be able to say, I can do this. And when you tackle small debts and you get to the larger ones and you tackle those two, you feel that momentum. It gives you motivation. It doesn't make mathematical sense, but it makes behavioral sense. And we all know that behavior is half the battle. So our big payoff number right now is $352,728.46. Okay, guys, that number scares me. I won't lie to you. It terrifies me. It seems like I'm going to be paying this for a lifetime. But I know that with some hard work, a little extra payments here and there, some side hustles, we're going to make some progress. I'm not going to put a timeline on it, but we're going to push through, and of course we'll keep you updated on our progress to see where we're going with it. So remember, tonight, with your spouse or by yourself or with a friend, go find all of your debts, every single one. List them from smallest to largest. Okay? Do your budget, because I hope you all have done your budget for February. And if you haven't, let's start in March. Do your budget. And when you get to the end of your expenses, whatever money you have left, you put it to your debts. The first few that will fit into your budget. If they have minimum payments, just factor in their minimum payments. If you need to pay a whole lump sum and your first one has to be paid in a lump sum, fit it in as much as you can. If you run out of money, or if you get down to somewhere where you only have $30 and the minimum payment is, I don't know, $50, pay the $30 towards your debt. Or you can look back in your budget, readjust, and see where you might be able to finagle that $20 and make that $50 minimum payment, okay? So, guys, the debt snowball is not hard. It will be a shock when you write down how much you actually owe. Like I said, we have $300K plus of debt to pay off. But I know we're gonna do it because we've made more progress in a year than we've ever made in the past 10 years that we've been doing financial peace. So, guys, I hope you're out there hustling. If you haven't already, subscribe, set your alert button. Thanks for joining me again for another video on how to become debt-free with me.